If you're leading a team, you know that sinking feeling. The one you get when a star employee walks in and tells you they're leaving. It is, without a doubt, one of the toughest parts of the job. So today, we're going to break down the 5 most common leadership traps that cause great people to walk away, and, more importantly, how you can avoid them. So, what really makes a great employee decide to leave? Is it the money? The workload? Maybe the benefits? And yeah, while all those things definitely matter, study after study points to one single factor that outweighs pretty much everything else. I'm sure you've heard this saying before, and you know what? It's a classic for a reason. It is a powerful, powerful truth. A great job with a bad boss is an absolute nightmare, right? But even a really tough job can feel amazing with a great leader. Here's the bottom line. Your quality as a leader is the #1 predictor of whether your people stay or go. So let's jump into the very first trap that trips up so many managers.
The micromanager. This is probably the most classic and, let's be honest, the most hated leadership flaw out there. It often comes from a good place, like a real desire for quality work. But the impact? It's almost always destructive to your team's morale and especially their trust in you.
This right here gets to the absolute core of the problem. When you micromanage, you're not just correcting someone's work, you are sending a constant, loud and clear message that says, I don't trust you. For a high performer, someone who takes real pride in what they do, that is just soul-crushing. It completely stifles creativity, it kills their initiative, and it makes them feel totally incompetent.
So, how do you escape this trap? Well, it's not about being totally hands-off. The real escape is to provide crystal clear expectations. Your job is to define the what, the desired outcome, the deadline, how you'll measure success. But the crucial part is you have to let your team figure out the how. Give them that autonomy. Sure, they might fail sometimes, but that failure is often the fastest way for them to grow and innovate.
All right, next up we've got 2 related traps, and they both come from a breakdown in communication. The first one is all about not listening, and the second one is about not acknowledging the great work that's being done.
Think about it. Your team is on the front lines every single day. They have incredible insights into what's actually working and what isn't. So when you ignore their feedback, or even worse, when you get defensive about it, you're not just missing out on valuable ideas. You're basically telling them their voice doesn't matter. And over time, that just breeds resentment and total disengagement. The escape route here is simple, but man, it requires some humility. You have to encourage dialogue. You need to create an environment where people feel psychologically safe to speak up, to challenge ideas, even your ideas. An open-door policy isn't just about a physical door being open, right? It's about you fostering an open mind that actively wants to hear what your team has to say. It's actually surprising how many really well-intentioned managers fall right into this trap. They think, oh, my top performers know they're great, I don't need to tell them. Or maybe they just feel kind of awkward giving praise. But here's the thing, everyone wants to feel seen. When great work goes unnoticed, it feels invisible, and that is one of the fastest ways to make someone feel deeply unappreciated.
Escaping this trap doesn't have to be complicated at all. Really, just follow this simple 2-step process. First, private praise. A quick, hey, you did a great job on that presentation, means the world. Then follow it up with public praise. A shout out in a team meeting or a quick email. That just amplifies the recognition, and it shows the entire team what excellence looks like. It costs you absolutely nothing, but the return you get on morale is huge.
Okay, on to our final 2 traps. And these are all about how a leader handles the really tough stuff, ambiguity and difficulty. One of them creates anxiety through confusion, and the other one creates it by just avoiding conflict altogether. In the absence of information, people tend to fill in the gaps themselves. And trust me, they will usually assume the absolute worst. So when a leader is a poor communicator, infrequent, vague, inconsistent, they create this constant state of uncertainty. And that is incredibly stressful for a team. It leads to rumors, anxiety, and a complete lack of focus.
So the escape is to build a really strong communication habit. I like to think of it as having 4 pillars. First, be clear. No corporate jargon, please. Second, be frequent. Even a quick update is so much better than silence. Third, be honest. Don't try to sugarcoat bad news. And finally, be transparent. Share the why behind your decisions. That transparency is the absolute bedrock of trust.
Let's be real for a second. Nobody enjoys conflict.
But great leaders understand that avoiding it is far more damaging than just facing it head-on. Whether it's a performance issue, a dispute between team members, or a really tough conversation about a project, ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. No, it just allows the problem to grow and fester, poisoning team morale and damaging your credibility.
It really boils down to this contrast. A weak leader avoids the mess, but a strong leader, well, they learn how to untangle it. They respect their team enough to be direct and to have those uncomfortable conversations because they know it's essential for the health of the entire team. It shows you care enough to actually fix what's broken.
So, we've walked through the 5 big traps: micromanaging, ignoring feedback, lack of recognition, poor communication, and avoiding conflict. But avoiding these isn't just about damage control. It's the active path you take to become the kind of leader that people truly want to follow.
The destination, the goal here, is an environment that's built on trust, respect, and psychological safety. And when you create that kind of space, you don't just keep your best people, you empower them. You build a loyal, motivated team that sees you not just as a boss, but as a true leader.
So, as we wrap this up, I want you to take a moment for some really honest self-reflection. Which of these 5 traps maybe hit a little too close to home? And more importantly, which escape route are you going to take this week? Because becoming a better leader always starts with that one small intentional step.